Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Jennie Murray, President and CEO of the National Immigration Forum. Jennie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to speak with you today because, as we saw earlier this week, President Trump was sworn into office and he wasted no time signing dozens of executive orders, many of which involved immigration. So I want to talk about a few of them today. Some of these actions include mass deportation, reinstating his first-term Remain in Mexico policy, ending CBP-1, declaring a national emergency at the southern border, and changing the definition of birthright citizenship. When you're looking at all these executive actions, what sticks out to you?
Yeah, well, a couple of those are proposed, right? So the mass deportation one is setting the ground for expanded mass deportation. He will still need Congress to open up the purse to be able to make that happen more. But yes, definitely setting the groundwork and beginning to mobilize the military to the southern border. That's something we're watching very closely and is very different. We will be watching to see if the military are truly just setting up a perimeter, or if they are actually, in any way apprehending or interacting with migrants in any way, because that would be a departure from any deportation work that we've done in the past, or any way that we've apprehended individuals. So that stands out, of course. Halting the entire refugee resettlement system and process stands out very much for us. And we work with a lot of faith leaders. And so for folks who, particularly evangelical Christians, who believe very deeply in the fact that the U.S. should be a place that seeks to create a safe welcome for the most vulnerable around the world. That's particularly heartbreaking. And for the military, who are awaiting Afghan allies who they fought alongside in the trenches of Afghanistan for over 20 years, that's definitely a top concern. We also saw DHS weigh in then on the heels of these executive orders to say that they will let ICE do apprehensions, if you will, at places of worship, so at churches, at schools, and at hospitals. So they will remove the policy that bars them from entering these sort of secure or sensitive areas. So those are a few of the things right away. Of course, there were 10 large executive orders that definitely impact immigration.
Were you surprised at all by the executive orders and actions and commentary surrounding immigration on the very first day? He mentioned immigration heavily in his inaugural address, and a reporter from the New York Times said in a podcast this week that it was almost like he was trying to jam 4 years' worth of immigration policy in half a day. So were you surprised by these actions?
Yeah, it's a very good question. No, they're not surprising. Trump has been the candidate both times that Trump has, or all three times that Trump has run. I think he's been very honest about what he wants to do. And in the two times that his campaigns ended in being elected, he has done those things. And in the second day, I can say he's already begun to do the things that he promised. So no, they're not surprising. However, what we know is that the American people very much the last several months really started to weigh in and say, what we haven't given you is a blank check, even if I voted for you because I am concerned about the economy, about immigration, about a number of issues. I do not want to see folks removed who are here and contributing. I only want to see violent criminals removed. Most Americans, of course, do not want to see those with DACA protections or other temporary status. And definitely the majority of Americans didn't want to see the refugee program halted. So while they're not shocking, while this is what he ran on, the expansiveness of them and the fact that many of them didn't change through the advocacy of the last several months by his own voters is interesting. We didn't see all of the things that he promised, so I think we'll continue to see this set the stage for his other priorities the next 100 days and beyond. And I think we'll see this set the stage for the ways that he will invite Congress to partner with him on many of his promises. So not shocking, but that doesn't mean they weren't painful for many folks and that there's not a lot of fear induced.
For many voters this election cycle, immigration and border security was one of the top issues that they faced. So what do you say to those Americans who thought that Republicans could do a better job than Democrats when it comes to the border, when it comes to immigration, and that are celebrating and proponents of these types of moves because they want to see stronger action when it comes to the border?
Yeah. The border security piece is something most of the country did support, including Democrats. Many Democrats moved to the right on this issue, and definitely most folks will be applauding the administration for putting this front and center. Look, we need to have a secure and orderly system, but it also needs to be humane and needs to continue to drive our economy and allow us to be globally competitive. And so we have seen ongoing polling with American voters. In December, the Bullfinch Group continued its polling that it's done for months and months and months with conservatives, Republicans, and evangelicals. And we found that 76% of those three demographics who participated in the polling all say that they do not want those that are here and contributing removed. They do want to see some more border enforcement, but they want to make sure that those that are fleeing violence can still have a way to legally be authorized to apply for and be authorized after vetting into the country. So it's not a blank check. I think a lot of Americans definitely wanted to see border security. They want to see that done. But it wasn't a blank check to do it in any way, with any means possible, and to remove those that are, driving our economy and bedrocks of our community.
One of those facets here that people have described as that blank check, maybe one that has caused the most controversy in the past few days, is ending birthright citizenship. And what do you think the legality behind that is? Because isn't that protected by the 14th Amendment?
That's right. Yeah, this one is definitely already being held up in court. 18 states have already sued. It is quite a huge undertaking to amend the Constitution, or to amend the amendment of the Constitution. So this would take, and I'm not a legal expert, and so I won't be able to walk through all of the steps that we will see in the courts. But this will continue to get pressed on for a considerable amount of time. And we also know that business, and economists are going to be, and Wall Street included, are going to be very, very concerned about this piece. Many people point to this, and many economists point to this policy as the reason why our country has continued to be an economic leader over the last 250 plus years, because we have continued to allow the best and the brightest to continue to come, for folks to come here for a better life, and then for their children to stay and contribute, bring innovation, and continue to drive our economy. So this would be extremely troubling, especially at a time when our labor market is very tight. Our birth rate is at an all-time low, and we have 8 to 10 million jobs open every single month. All of this on top of the tariffs that economists, Wall Street, and others are very worried about.
You used a good phrase at the beginning of this conversation that he's laying the groundwork day one for what his immigration policy is going to look like. So when you see the executive orders, the actions he's taking the first week in office, paired with some of the people he's appointed or nominated, like Governor Kristi Noem as DHS Secretary or Tom Homan as the border czar, what does this indicate to you about where President Trump is going when it comes to immigration, when it comes to his border policy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, some of these folks obviously indicate that he is going to be taking a hard stance. But there's other cabinet members and other priorities. In fact, even his speech at the inauguration signaled other opportunities as well. So we do see some hardliners on immigration, but we do also see some enterprise-focused, business-focused folks also definitely very close to the president, or being put forward as his cabinet. We heard in his speech that he wants to combat inflation, that he wants to make America a manufacturing country again. All of those folks that are close to him will undoubtedly be letting him know that the only way you can grow a new worker is to wait 18 years, and our birth rate is very low. So for us to continue to combat inflation and become a manufacturing country again, we will have to have an influx of workers. And so there will have to be an expanded legal immigration process. And so we do have some indicators that it will be a hard line, but we have some indicators also that there are going to be some concessions in some places to make compromise. We've seen that with his DACA statements. We've seen that with his foreign-born student statements, and with the H-1B conversation. So we'll be looking for those openings as well.
We're only on day 3 as of now, but when you're looking forward to the days and weeks ahead, perhaps the first 100 days, what are you looking out for in terms of immigration?
Yeah, we actually have this great resource we put on our website. It focuses specifically, if folks are interested, at immigrationforum.org. But just as a top line, we will be looking at, of course, the refugee resettlement and humanitarian program. Will it be reopened? Will we be able to take our place again as a global leader to be responsible for helping? There's 110 million displaced people around the world, up from 24 million just in 2014. So it's a huge increase. We, as a big global player, of course, need to do our part in helping the world's displaced people. So we'll be looking to see if the humanitarian visa program is unconstrained again. We'll be looking to see if we will prioritize only violent criminals in deportation, which we are advocating for, which American voters would like to see. And we will be looking to see, how Congress begins to move forward to say to the executive branch that they want to partner on some sensible ways to both secure the border and to make sure that we have the workforce we need to help American businesses with their work shortages.
And when you're looking at these actions here, is there anything that the National Immigration Forum specifically is doing in response?
Yeah, we have many partners. So we work with the Law Enforcement Immigrant Task Force. That group is working really quickly to understand how local police will be pulled into the enforcement mandate. They're advocating for not being pulled into that, of course. They believe their communities are safer when all people living in their communities are able to participate in investigations and report crimes. So definitely law enforcement's out there. There's a Council for National Security on Immigration that we work with. Those folks have put out recommendations to the second Trump administration, especially to the national security leaders. We'll be looking at how those folks prioritize humane treatment, even through detention and apprehensions. So there's a number of these pieces. And then the faith community that we work with. We work very closely with a number of pastors and denominations, mainly evangelical, who are really trying to speak back to the administration to say, we can continue to let our values lead us, but also secure and create an orderly system. So that's where we're most active right now, is to say, we understand what you're trying to solve for. We can solve for those things in a way that's balanced, and let us make sure that these center-right leaders are putting forward their plans for how to do that in a balanced way.
Well, as the Trump administration's immigration policies and actions continue to roll out, Jennie Murray, I hope you can come back on and break them down with me. Thank you so much for your time today. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. I'd love to come back and continue the conversation.